welcome to another episode of Tampa Bay Politics. We're so glad you could join us. I'm Angela Birdsong, your host, also affectionately known as the Medicare Lady. And I have with me my not-so-new host anymore, Jarvis Elamine. And we are so happy to have with us one of the brightest stars, yes, on the political scene right now, Miss Damaris Allen, running for school board.
Yes, she's a candidate for school board District 2. Damaris Allen, one of our dear friends, and she's been on the campaign trail hot. She's been hotter than hot, and her messaging on the campaign trail just been electric, Angela. Good morning to our listeners. We're going to tell you right up front, our call-in number is 813-444-9588. We'd love to hear from you, 813-444-9588. We're on In Touch Radio, where everybody can be a star. Reality radio, so everybody can be a star. Even Damaris can be a star.
Hi, Damaris. You know what? We always start with, in the beginning, where were you born?
I was born in Binghamton, New York, and we moved. We moved here when I was going into second grade because it snowed in May, and my mom was finished, and that's how I became a Floridian.
Hey,
that's a good way to become a Floridian,
I went to college, Ithaca College, upstate New York, and I saw snow flurries in May.
Wow.
It happens.
Oh, my God.
It does.
Okay, go ahead.
And so once I moved here, I started in Hillsborough County Public Schools. I went to Woodbridge Elementary School, and then this was the time when we went to multiple schools. So I started at Woodbridge, then I went to Orange Grove, then I went to Blake, then I went to Webb, then I went to Lato, and then I finally transferred to Plant High School where I graduated.
Wow, but that's a great diversity of schools, right, Angela?
I know.
Yes.
I would say you
got a little Blake in there?
Yeah.
Got a little Orange Grove in there?
Yeah.
That's great.
And then what did you study in college?
I studied Christian education and theater, theater because I just love the arts and I wanted to keep participating in it in college. And I think it gives you great skills for your life. And then I also did Christian education because I worked in the Methodist Church for about 20 years with children and youth.
That is fantastic.
And I'm a Methodist.
Right. So that's a great connection.
Yeah. I'm in the praise team at Temple Terrace United Methodist Church. I'm enjoying being a Methodist.
That's fantastic.
And so did you work in that field?
Yeah, for 20 years. I started off as a camp counselor at the Methodist Church grounds right after I graduated high school. And then I served as a children's director. I started off as a youth director, which is 6th through 12th grade, and then moved into children's ministry when I had little kids because I wanted to be able to spend more time with them. And then family ministry because I know that when we're dealing with kids and students, that it's really important to focus on the entire family and not just the kids.
Yes.
So what are you doing now?
So I am currently running full time. About 2 years ago, I decided to focus on education advocacy full time. And so I stepped back from working at the church and I founded a nonprofit. I've been working with people just fighting for public education.
Well, I tell you something, Angela, that's beautiful. Her background prepared her to be a school board member. I'm listening to her background. I'm glad that we always ask the background. As she was talking, I'm saying, oh, you just fit right in it. And that really kind of answered the question that I was going to ask you about your regular community service. And just add to that, just put a little more stew in that, because you have a great regular community service.
Yeah, so I very intentionally registered my oldest child for public school. I really believe in public schools, and I believe if you believe in them, you need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to register your kid. And so even though my friends were choicing out of or opting out of, all the kids in our neighborhood were opting out of going to our local public school, I decided to register him anyway and then volunteer and make a difference. And so I did just that. I started working with the principal. I eventually became president of the PTA. I worked with teachers and families, and now that elementary school is the #1 elementary school in Hillsborough County, and people are fighting to get into it. And we have a 7-year, when you go to events, you'll see 7 years of PTA presidents coming back and serving. But that wasn't enough for me because while I did a great job for my kid, I wanted to make a difference for all kids. So I served as the president of Hillsborough County PTA, working with all the schools in the district, and my eyes were well, I had an idea of this because I went to such a diverse group of schools. But I really was, my eyes were open to the inequities that exist in our schools.
Absolutely. Yes.
And started fighting for that and started working on a legislative level, working with our legislators in Florida. I served on the Florida PTA Legislative Committee for the last 5 years. So I've literally read every single bill that impacts kids and families for the last 5 years.
Well, Angela, it's hard to get
Every single bill. That's impressive.
Very impressive, and it's really very difficult to get a guest that already answered the questions. You don't have to ask them. Because she answered the next question I had in mind was, why are you running? And she just told us why she's running. So what was, now since you answered it, what was the thing that really said, I want to run for school board?
So, initially in the last election cycle, I voted for my opponent. And then after watching her over the last 4 years, or 3.5 years, there have been some things that have really raised a level of concern, and I couldn't sit back and let that keep going. A great example is one of the most important things a board member does is renew the superintendent's contract or hire the contract. She was on vacation when that happened, and we had a 5-year renewal for our superintendent's contract. And for me, there is nothing that would have stopped me from being there. And there have been other instances of rezoning schools and not realizing that 33 kids would be impacted and saying that no one would be impacted, and not being fully aware of our financial crisis, not being engaged in the community. And so I really thought and she doesn't have kids in public schools. And so
has she ever?
She has never. And so she doesn't have skin in the game. So she's making votes that don't impact her own family. And my votes will directly impact my family, my kids, and then also their best friends. And so, I really believe it's important to have skin in the game when you're serving.
Do you think she was absent on purpose during that vote?
There has been some speculation about her intentional absence, but not based on that vote, based on the fact that they were voting on Chamberlain's mascot during that.
So you think
meeting.
She probably would have voted to keep the superintendent?
She did write a letter saying she agreed with keeping the superintendent, she gave it to the school board attorney to read. But still, there was a lot of discussion that happened during that time. Because keep in mind, because of sunshine laws, school board members can't have a discussion about that contract until they're on the dais.
That's right.
So she said, I don't need to have this discussion. I don't need to hear what my other fellow board members have to say. I'm going to vote to approve this contract.
Well, here's a problem with that. And I'm telling you, I'm glad you brought it up. Two of the major responsibility of a school board is to pass the budget, be a good physical, take care of the money,
right,
handle the money appropriately.
Good fiscal steward.
That's my point. Thank you for giving me the words. And then also to vote on the superintendent's contract. So if you don't want to deal with the Native American issue with Chamberlain, use that for excuse not to be there to vote on the superintendent's contract. That's your two major things that you're supposed to do as a school board. That's your fiduciary duty.
Right.
To vote on. Why did you absent? That's a major issue for me.
Yes.
If you won't be there to vote on the man because he managed, y'all could set policies, but the day-to-day operation, he managed the school district. Mm-hmm. And he got 7 bosses. Right. He worked for the school board.
Right.
Now, you don't come to be there when you're going to interview your employee. You absent. It reminds me of Val Demings talking about another Republican guy named Marco Rubio that don't show up for work.
Always absent.
And when you don't show up for work, you get fired.
You lose your
Exactly.
job.
You lose your job, right, Angela?
That's what the chief said. The chief said you lose your job.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you, she need to lose her job just based on that.
Well, and it was a 5-year contract, and that's important to recognize that that's the maximum. So even if I'm voted in, I still won't have a say on his contract at this point because it's a 4-year term. Mm-hmm. So you've now extended it beyond what this group that's getting voted in will be able to make a decision.
Wow. Yeah, that was done on purpose.
Yeah, it was, and it's called politics. But let's go ahead and dig in, Angela, while we're here. While we dig in, do you know anybody that may be significant that endorsed your opponent that maybe our listeners need to know about?
Yes. So my opponent was endorsed. Stacey Hahn was endorsed by Governor DeSantis. And while you may not see it publicly posted on her page or on her social media, the governor is definitely sending mailers and texts on her behalf. And what is unique about that is that in order to receive the governor's endorsement, outside of any other endorsements, is you have to sign on to the governor's education agenda. So that means that when she takes a vote on the dais, she will first be thinking about what Governor DeSantis wants and not what's best for the kids in Hillsborough County.
Yep, it come with a price.
It come with a price, and we know that all of his initiatives are bad for kids.
That's right, and bad for the state.
Yes.
And bad for the state, and nothing he's doing is good for the state. It's
Yes.
bad for the state. So let's talk about charter schools and how that's so bad for the state.
So I think the challenge with charter schools is there are good charter schools and then there are not great charter schools. And so the issue becomes an accountability issue. And so the legislature likes to group them all together and say they can all be independently operated. And we don't have a lot of control as school board members, which is concerning to me because you should be able to make local decisions locally based on the needs of your community. And so when we have charter schools, and we had a great example of this happen about a year ago, that aren't providing services for exceptional students, who aren't providing gifted services, who aren't providing all those things that are required by law, we cannot deny them because the state will come in and say you have to say yes to them. And so it's really an accountability issue and not an issue of all charters are good or all charters are bad.
What about the money they get? The money they get for maintenance and transportation that comes out of the budget of the state give them more money than they give the local school district.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
And that's really problematic. Is the
Very
fact
problematic for me.
that they
we heard
get
that it was
more money.
$194 million.
Yes. Yes.
And the regular schools got $10 million
Exactly.
for maintenance.
Exactly.
Right. So it's really, that's what had forced us into that position where we had to go after the half a penny sales tax, is because we haven't been getting money that we are paying in tax dollars to go to our regular maintenance. It's been shifted to charter schools. And what's even more problematic about that is that charter schools don't necessarily have to own their own building. If they buy their building with taxpayer money and they close down, they get to keep the land. The charter school owners get to keep the land and the building. So basically, we're pushing charter school, our taxpayer dollars into other people's pockets.
And the other part of that, Angela, that me and you talked about offline is that contractors, who build the charter schools, they don't have to have no
minority representation.
Yeah, they don't have to have no minority participation. They don't have to have they don't have to obey none of that.
They don't have to give the teachers benefits.
They don't have to give the teachers benefits, right? So how is all that's good for a state that's number 49 in education?
Right. It's terrible for us. In addition to that, it's terrible for parents. So if you're saying that you want parental choice, a choice isn't a choice without information. And we're giving our parents inadequate information. We're not being honest about the fact that your charter school may not have a library. Your charter school may not have a playground. Your charter school may not have a football field or a science lab. We're just saying, oh, you get to choose between all of these options. But without that information to say, this school doesn't necessarily give their teachers benefits, this school does, this school is required to do all of these things, we can't make a good decision as parents. And the same thing is true of voucher schools.
And let's be clear, 90% of our students are still in public schools.
Right.
Only 10% are in charter schools.
That's right.
So, yes, we do love charters, but we want every child to get a good education no matter where they land.
And that's really the job of the legislators, to fully fund education. They
Right.
should public education. That's in the state.
But we got
state
a
constitution.
problem in Tallahassee.
Yes.
We got more Republicans than Democrats, and those Republicans are all for charters.
That's right.
And they're lining their pockets with charter money.
That's right. And they're making a hunk of money off of building schools and construction. It's a mess. So for those that just tuning in, we have Damaris Allen. Did I say that right?
Damaris.
Damaris Allen, candidate for Hillsborough County School Board District 2. She's running strong, and she's gonna be really.
I heard that Stacey Hahn is a little nervous.
I think she's shaking in the boots, and I think we got less than a week left.
Yes, 6 days.
So it's the winner take all.
Yep.
6 days is gonna be over with. So if you'd like to call in and talk to your next school board member of District 2, 813-444-9588, 813-444-9588. We got Jarvis Elamine and Angela Birdsong with Tampa Bay Politics.
We'll
having
be
fun on
right
Wednesday.
back.
Your midday excitement.
This is Representative Wingate Newton, and I need your vote. I'm running for the new Florida House District 62 seat, which covers South St. Petersburg, Riverview, Gibsonton, West Brandon, and Tampa. I served 8 years on the St. Petersburg City Council and 4 years in the legislature, where I built working relationships and bridges to bring home millions in much-needed resources. I am a lifelong Democrat, and I have been married to my soulmate, Melissa Newton, for 32 years. I ask for your vote on August 23rd. It would be an honor and a privilege to represent you again in Tallahassee. Paid for by Wingate M. Newton Sr., Democrat for Florida House District 62.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and I'm running to be your next Hillsborough County Commissioner in District 2. And I want to encourage you to vote by mail. You can do that by contacting your supervisor of elections in your county. Voter suppression is real, and we have to be prepared to vote and get your family members registered. Do it today. Call me if you have a question. 813-476-4837.
Been in a car crash? Call Ricky. Don't know what to do? Ask Ricky. We will connect you with a lawyer and doctor experienced in auto accident injuries. Call Ricky at 844-361-7425. After an auto accident, you have 14 days to seek medical attention. You may be in pain, so call Ricky, ask Ricky for your best options. 844-361-7425. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal and medical referral service. The lawyers in our network pay to receive referrals.
We're back. We're right here with Tampa Bay Politics, interviewing a hot star in the political arena. Her name is Damaris Allen. She is running to be your next Hillsborough County School Board member, District 2. You know, before we do anything, can you tell us where does District 2 lie?
So District 2 is a little bit of a complicated district. So imagine the water, and we start at South Tampa. We wrap around to downtown Tampa, a little bit into Riverview, down to Apollo Beach and Ruskin. So it looks like a candy cane.
Wow. Okay. And how many schools have you visited?
All of them. Thanks to my work, because I've been doing this for so long, and I served as the PTA president of Hillsborough County, I've had the opportunity to go to pretty much every single public school. There are some exceptions. I haven't been to all the charter schools, but I absolutely plan to continue visiting our schools once elected, and not just, and this is really important, not just during the school day. I plan to go to things like open houses and skate nights and fall festivals, because you need to be in a place that's accessible to parents, where parents can talk to you easily about the concerns they're having. And sometimes when you're in a more relaxed setting, they feel more comfortable doing that.
Yep. And don't just run through that. There are school board members sitting there now, Sister Angela, that have not been to every school in the district. I really respect you for that. That is really, really powerful. I really think that you're going to win this thing because you are a great candidate.
Yes.
You prepared yourself to be, you're already on the school board. Qualified. You know what I mean?
Some people who are not qualified who are running.
Talk about that, Angela.
There's a woman named Legge, Legge. I don't see where her she has no qualifications other than she served in the military and she has some kids in school. Mm-hmm. But where'd she just pop up from? I think she's a Moms for Liberty person.
Wow.
Running against Karen
And who are
Perez.
they, Angela? Moms for Liberty.
What?
Tell us
They
about
want
that.
to ban our children's books.
Wow.
Like we're back in the 1930s or something. And, this is fascism.
Wow. But let me say this to you, too, also, about that. Where do people come from and just feel they can jump out there and run? That's a problem for me. Because you have no record of community service. Me and you've been in this community for over 35 years.
Yes.
Now, we didn't know her. We don't know nothing about her. She's African American. We didn't know nothing about, never came to no tea and conversation, never came to NAACP, never came in the community, never came to nothing. When we see you, you running for school board. and you endorsed by DeSantis. Therein lies the problem.
Yes, we know that it's a Republican agenda item to get their people on as many school board seats as possible so that they can do things like ban books, tell you the CRT boogeyman is going to get you, encourage agitators to come to the meetings who don't have children in the school system. I mean, it's bad.
Angela is right. And let's go now, Damaris. Let's go back to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Really, 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 really excited about you being here. This really made my day. What uniquely, other than what you said, qualify you? What really set you apart from your opponent? That you're saying your opponent got to go because you need to come there because you have something really valuable to bring to the table that we're not getting now.
My ability to listen. I've heard time and time again of people who have gone to her with issues and she has either ignored them or not responded. And what you need in a school board member is the ability for them to listen to you, and not only to listen to you, but to take your concerns. My job is not to elevate my voice. My job is to elevate your voice, to take care of the needs of the community, to understand the needs of the communities that I serve. And if I'm not in those communities, if I'm not engaged, if I'm not asking difficult questions, then I can't possibly serve the community well.
That was a great and brilliant answer. And you know what? Let's talk about something that, affects our black community,
That's
our
right.
black males. School to prison pipeline.
It's so concerning. And that's actually one of the policies I've agreed to work on as a priority when I get elected. I've talked to the Sunshine Education Coalition. I've worked closely with them for a while now. I usually
Tell us about them. I'm familiar with them.
So
April Cobb,
Denise Thomas, Angela Schroden are all working on this issue. They're trying to educate the community about the issue that's facing predominantly are black boys. And in fact, there was just a Yale study that came out recently that shows that there is a bias towards disciplining black boys. They videoed teachers in classroom or videoed students, and they asked people to look at who was causing a problem, knowing that no one was causing a problem. And time again, the little black boys were identified as causing a problem. And so it's really imperative that we are aware that bias can exist whether we are conscious of it or not, and we have to become conscious of it. So I've agreed to work with Sunshine Education Coalition on creating policy around this. How are we tracking the data? How are we watching what's happening and making sure that we're taking care of our... We want all students to succeed, not just some. And if we don't recognize that a few years ago, according to an ACLU study, we led the state in the school to prison pipeline.
We did.
And if we're not honest about that,
Hillsborough County,
and we don't look at that critically, we're never going to be able to solve that problem. And it is a horrible problem. We need to take care. I know so many kids that are entrepreneurs and that are doing great things, and if they didn't, they could have easily ended up in that pipeline. And we need to protect them and allow them to be their best selves. Right.
That is exciting what you're saying because you're right on it. If you'd like to call in, the call-in number is 813-444-9588. Damaris Allen, she's running for School Board District 2. You know what my concern is? Two things. A black boy can go through his whole, from kindergarten to 12th grade, and never see a male principal, black principal, or male black teacher. That's unheard of. Because white women and even some black women don't know how to deal with black boys culturally.
And we got even a bigger issue now because we got a shortage of teachers.
We got a shortage of teachers. Period. So that's even a more problem. So let's talk about having a black male teachers. Let me tell you how that affects. If a black boy may talk loud and raise his voice, and they may be passionate about. Even some black women would take they causing a ruckus. A white woman don't know nothing about it. A black man, because I remember the black male teachers that I had. When I was getting in trouble, I was not no good. They gonna come up and squash it, and they gonna say something to me in a way that I know he mean business.
Right.
That's what's missing. The other thing that's missing is Black history being taught. We have to know more than Martin Luther King, more than Malcolm X, more than Marcus
Martin
Garvey.
Luther King, they trying to ban Martin.
We got to know more about our history.
Right. And I would
That's a shame for God. They trying to do that.
Right, and I would agree completely. And that's one of the things that's really exciting is Dr. Roll is the new dean of the College of Education at USF, and he has a program that's going to work on bringing black males into the classroom. And that is really exciting to see our district partner with our colleges of education, and that's where we need to start. We need to start at the beginning. In addition to that, we need to have a pipeline, and I know that Superintendent Davis is working on this, for our black males to go into leadership because it is disproportionate, or they end up at schools that are struggling and then they get moved a lot. And so we really need to set people up for success. And I think we're on a better path, but that doesn't mean that there's still not room for improvement. As far as history goes, we absolutely...
I was going to come back to that. I'm glad you get it.
We absolutely need to teach full history. So just to give you an anecdotal...
Even if it makes people feel bad?
Yes.
Listen, anything that brings progress sometimes makes you feel bad. My son's a rower. He feels like crap every time after practice, but he absolutely loves the progress he's making. We have to focus on the progress.
I like that.
And when we're talking about it, so I recently, prior to the pandemic, I was in D.C. and I was at the Black History Museum. And I was on the final floor, which is where you kind of celebrate how far we've come. It's brilliantly set up if you haven't been. And I was standing there watching over and over a reel of a lady telling the story of the Tulsa Massacre when they went through Black Wall Street. And I thought, how is it that I am 40-some years old and this is the first time I'm hearing her story? And I thought, I've been failed, right? Like, I read a lot.
Just black people in Tulsa was never taught about it.
That's right.
Exactly. And so... But when we're talking about, we need to look at a full history. We need to look at the stories of resilience, of people coming out of this horrible situation. We need to look at the stories of the people who fought against it, who spoke out against it, because we're not telling our kids they're bad. We're telling them they have the opportunity. You have the capacity for really good stuff or the really bad stuff, and you get to choose.
And you have, I want to go further than that. I want to talk about Mansa Musa and Timbuktu. The Malian Empire, when we was ruling, we ruled. He was one of the most wealthiest king, and all of the knowledge of the civilization came through that during that time. Was through Timbuktu. You heard the stories. You studied, you learned in Timbuktu. When you studied the 1500s and what black people was doing with their lives in the motherland in Africa, children, if black children would read that, they'll have in their mind now that I can achieve. Look what my ancestors did. I have that same DNA in my...
Exactly.
We need success stories.
There you go. We need models of success. Thank you, Angie. I'm just rolling this morning. Angie, what kind of coffee you had this morning? Hazelnut you had? What do you had this morning? Go, Angie, you hit... No,
we need Black History Month every month.
That's right.
Well, and it's supposed to be taught in every grade, on every level, but we shy away from it because it might make people uncomfortable. Like I said, everything makes us uncomfortable that allows us to learn and grow. Calculus is uncomfortable, geometry is uncomfortable, physics is uncomfortable.
But it's not uncomfortable for us.
Exactly.
But it's not uncomfortable for us to tell us that Christopher Columbus discovered America and it was already black people here when he got here.
Right.
It's not uncomfortable to say that George Washington never told a lie. It's not uncomfortable to say all these misunderstandings about history.
And to forget that, the American Indian went through genocide.
Exactly.
Right.
All the lies that have been told. And that, that slavery, that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. No, it was an economic issue.
Right.
It was about money. So we have to be truthful about that. It wasn't no good president say, oh, these poor black people need to be freed. But the narrative that's being taught in school to black people, it's just put more of that self-hatred. You'll go through and learn you want to learn much about yourself, but what you learn about yourself in schools won't be good. How that worked out for you? It won't work out too good.
I just want to say a word about CRT. It is not taught in our public school system. At all.
And never has been.
This is supposed to be a preventative measure. All it is a college-level course to teach people about slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and how that has affected the black community.
Today.
today. And how it causes poverty. What does poverty cause? Then it causes people to get caught up in
crime.
And then they get caught up in the criminal justice system. That's all it is.
Angela's hot. Her DJ CEO, we got Angela hot this morning. Tampa Bay Politics, Jarvis Elamine, and Angela Birdsong. We have in the studio with us Damaris Allen. She's running for Hillsborough County School Board District 2. She's hot. She's ready. She's going to hit the ground running. We'll be swearing her in on the 28th of August. We're going to swear you in. We're ready to get you in there. We are excited.
By the way, please vote by the 23rd.
Vote by the 23rd. We need you.
Nestled in the heart of West Tampa, the Maduro Marauder Cigar Lounge offers a wide variety of premium cigars from Esteli, Nicaragua. In addition, the lounge offers a relaxed environment for you to come back, lay, chill, and relax and smoke a great cigar. Visit us at our brick and mortar location, 1944 West Main Street, Tampa, as well as online, www.maduromarauders.com.
This is the recipe you've been waiting for. A little touch of smooth, mixed with a big touch of soul.
This is how we do it.
We are In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and I'm running to be your next Hillsborough County Commissioner in District 2. And I want to encourage you to vote by mail. You can do that by contacting your supervisor of elections in your county. Voter suppression is real, and we have to be prepared to vote and get your family members registered. Do it today. Call me if you have a question. 813-476-4837. 813-476-4837. We're back. This show is rolling along. Today we have in the house Damaris Allen, and she is running to be your next school board member, and we're excited about it.
Yes.
You're going to get that lady out who's a DeSantis follower.
Ooh. Shameful God. Oh, my God.
What's your priority? What's important to you, Damaris?
So the first thing that's really important to me is family and community engagement.
Okay.
We cannot discover the needs of a school if we do not engage the families that are being served within it. And so that's really important to me, that we aren't making decisions on high based on what we think people need. We are making decisions based on the information we have gathered from the schools and the teachers and the students and the parents and the guardians that we actually serve. And so that's my first priority. My second is staffing. Staffing is a huge issue. Mm-hmm. We are understaffed. We have less teachers than we need. We have less bus drivers, and that is directly and student nutrition services everywhere across the board. ESE, exceptional student education aides. And so we really need to prioritize that. One part of that is by dealing with paying our teachers, paying our employees well, right? But that's not the only answer. We need to improve the culture and climate in which they work. They need to feel valued. They need to know that they have autonomy, that they can make decisions based on what the students they serve in their class are meeting their needs. And so, the other day I had a conversation with some students about what is the one thing that we could do to improve our schools? And their answers were, get me to school on time, get me to school there consistently, let me have access to tutoring because I need to improve my reading. And it really opened my eyes. Our kids want desperately to learn. And so the disconnect is how we're serving them.
Very good answer.
And the thing is that tutoring is so important.
Yes.
And if you're in a good neighborhood and you have a good family, they can absolutely get you a tutor.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make sure that we have some volunteers, if necessary, to help those children stay on grade level, and especially with reading. They know if a child can't read, the outcome is not good.
Well, and we need to stop putting our kids in front of computers to learn to read, right? You think about how you learn best is by, and we even talked about this during the pandemic, the reason our kids needed to be in school was to be with a qualified teacher.
Yes.
So it's that back and forth engagement where they're struggling and working through things that make all the difference. And then they associate reading with a positive outcome, right? With good relationships, with being affirmed.
That's right.
With
Good self-esteem.
Exactly.
Yes.
As opposed to a computer that just makes you keep doing things
It's
over
impersonal.
and over.
It's so
Yes.
impersonal.
Right.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question about this. It's kind of concerned me. Like, you got churches, you got mosques, you got nonprofits in the community. What is the school district relationship with them? Getting them to be involved in after-school programs, getting them to be involved in tutoring. You know, is there a department of the school district that reach out to that part of the community and have partnerships with them?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know if it's initiated with the faith community or if it's initiated with the school district, but we do have some that do a really great job
Yes.
of partnering with schools. Usually they adopt a specific school,
Yes.
and they'll do things like lunch buddies, they'll help clean up the campus, they'll provide.
I have volunteered for that. Just
Right.
elementary through
Yes.
Idlewild. Yes.
Right.
Throughout a while, okay.
And so that works out really well because then you're taking care of the entire campus. And so we need to have more of that and not less of that.
And see, that's why now you need a department, faith-based initiative department, somebody that their job is to reach out to. We got in our community, in the black community, you got 150 churches right in East Tampa alone.
Yes.
And they ain't doing nothing with those churches through the
You
week.
got retirees that would
You got
step
retirees
forward.
that would come
Yeah.
there and be glad to get out the house and do this. So we got to think outside of the box. You got to start using all our human resources to make our children better. So now we got to talk about this since we got time. Our time when we having fun, this time is not going fast. It's really like we're going slow today. But I want to talk about this. I don't know if Sister Angela was planning to talk about this, but let's talk about this tax. There's a lot of controversy in the black community about this tax. Black people traditionally don't have no problem helping the schools and don't have no problem, but with the economic system where it is now, the economy where it is now, people trying to say, I got to tax myself for the teachers to get a pay. You got to give us some guidance on this tax thing. You don't have to say how you feel about it one way or another. We ain't not putting you on the spot, but you know, when you have a school district that ain't been good stewards of the money in the past, Angela, with them Republicans on there, I know I get Angela attention.
Yeah.
They ain't been good stewards of the money. Am I right, Angela?
Yeah.
They haven't been good stewards of the money. We know you just getting there. So what can you tell us about this Avalon tax? How it's going to be? Do we have any kind of citizen advisory committee to watch the money? Tell us, sell it if you can.
So I'm glad you mentioned the Citizens Advisory Committee. So one of the things I had a lot of concern about as a parent and as an advocate was how we are handling the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in Tallahassee talking to one of my friends from Miami-Dade, and she mentioned they had a budget finance committee made up of citizens, and I said that's what we need in Hillsborough. So that night I immediately emailed, at the time it was Chair Lynn Gray and Addison Davis, and encouraged them to create a financial advisory committee. And it's modeled very much like the one in Miami-Dade, which is what I was advocating for and what I encouraged people to advocate for. And so that committee, which has now been formed, it will oversee this. Now, what's really important?
We didn't even know about this. That's huge.
We didn't know about that, Angela. That's why the question got to be asked.
Well, and that is also why it's really important to elect people who understand how the systems work, right? So I feel like I have made it clear that I care about having transparency. I care about having other people's eyes on the budget and them sharing with their community. That's why I encourage to create this as well. And so you really need to elect school board members you trust. And like you said, people in the past have done what was best for them and not necessarily what's best for the school district. And we have a lot of people on the school board now that are really looking at the budget and really keeping a close eye on it. So that's important.
We have more Democrats. Nobody knows who they are, though.
It's nonpartisan.
It's nonpartisan.
All right, but let me say this before you say something. I'm in here in a commercial running on another radio station, and school board member Henry Sheik Washington saying it's about, and I heard Addison Davis say it's about anywhere from $65 to $67 additional that we're gonna see in our taxes. Is that just a sales pitch or is it's truth to that? That's all it's gonna go up.
I like that. Because it tells you a number.
Yes.
A percentage is kind of
kind of fuzzy math.
I love it.
Well, and it's based on how much it's based on how much your house is worth, right? So that is kind of that's accurate for an average house. Obviously, if you have $1 million house, it's gonna cost more than that in tax. That's just how economics work, right? But I think the real issue is that our legislature hasn't funded us, right? Our school districts' funding has not gone up at the same rate that the rest of the state funding has, and so what that tells us that is our legislature does not prioritize kids education, and so they
also don't like public schools. They like
Correct.
charter schools,
That's true.
and it's a concerted effort to bring those public schools down.
Right. And so they've really forced us in this position where all of these counties are going after local taxes. Pinellas has had it for multiple years. Orange County's had it for multiple years. You'll see Pasco County is going after it this session. Sarasota's going after renewing it. And so they've really forced us in this terrible position where we're having to, in my opinion, double tax ourselves, which is not appropriate.
So let me ask you something. So Hillsborough kind of late in doing it.
Correct.
Okay. So that put a perspective to it too now. You're
Right.
saying that surrounding counties already have something like Avalon tax because we're not getting funded appropriately from the state.
Right.
And how bad we not getting funded from the state? Tell me how bad
How
that
about
Okay.
hot classrooms?
So,
Yeah.
Well, and so that's another example that we were late to the game even with that tax. Pinellas County is landlocked. They're not growing. So they have more money per pupil than we do because they don't have to build schools, because they've had additional taxation for a long time. But I think it's really important to recognize when my kids started school, we were 25th in education spending in the state, in the rank of states. Now we're 49th, 47th. It kind of varies, 46th. That's a difference of about $8,000 per student. So we are so if we're going along, imagine what $8,000 times 200,000 students would do for us. It's a huge amount of money.
That's right.
And so it's really an issue of a failure of our legislature.
So they're funding us about $8,000 per student.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we just hit 8. We're just going to hit 8 this year.
Okay. So now I want to ask you a question. What would be a good number that the state should be funding us at? That's what I'm trying to get to.
So
They're giving us $8,000 per student. Now, what they really should be giving us?
the average state is about 17,000 if you're looking at like New York. Well, wait, if you're looking at states like New York, it's 25,000.
Okay, but that's some in Florida. What's the average? You know.
So Florida's so it's all equalized in Florida, and then our additional taxes go on to it. So that's about average. But the other thing that's important to remember that our schools are funded through both state money and federal money, right? So we're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to state funding, but we're at the top when it comes to federal funding. Well, what does that mean? We have more students living in poverty. We have more high need students because that's what funds with federal funding. We also are one of only 6 states that doesn't give additional funding for students living in poverty. And if you want to know the number one predictor of how a student is going to do in school, or especially on state tests, it's whether they live in poverty or not. So why are we one of only 6 states that doesn't provide that additional funding?
She's giving us a clinic.
I know.
I'm telling you the truth.
Everybody need to listen to this
I'm
show.
serious. She's giving us a clinic. Y'all need to tag this, share this. This is mean here.
Yes, it is. We got so much to talk about when it comes to the school board.
Demetrius Allen, she's hot up in here. Hillsborough County District candidate for the school board, District 2. We're excited about you, sister. You are educating us, inspiring us, and getting us together to go for action plan to change.
He's an educator educating us.
Ooh, Tampa Bay Politics. Jarvis Elamine and Angela Burson. We'll be right back. That was...
This is This is Representative Wingate Newton, and I need your vote. I'm running for the new Florida House District 62 seat, which covers South St. Petersburg, Riverview, Gibsonton, West Brandon, and Tampa. I served 8 years on the St. Petersburg City Council and 4 years in the legislature, where I built working relationships and bridges to bring home millions in much-needed resources. I am a lifelong Democrat, and I have been married to my soulmate, Melissa Newton, for 32 years. I ask for your vote on August 23rd. It would be an honor and a privilege to represent you again in Tallahassee. Paid for by Wingate M. Newton Sr., Democrat for Florida House District 62.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer. I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown. 1-800-361-RICK. That's 1-800-361-7425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 1-800-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Okay, you're listening in to Tampa Bay Politics. If you're too busy doing life, please take the time to listen to one of these shows so you can find out what's going on in local politics. And the first thing we got to do is get this lady elected. And that is the actual voting day is August the 23rd. You can still vote early. You can still vote by mail.
And they can vote for it right now. Go to C. Blatts Andrews, go to Jimmy B. Kill, go to Jane Platt. Vote for it now. Do it now. Don't wait. Because like it's raining now. We don't want it to be raining on election day. Then you say you can't get this.
The car could break down.
Anything
the
can happen.
babysitter couldn't show up.
And then we got 4 more years of a DeSantis endorser. That don't even sound good. So tell us, because this is our last segment, why we should vote for you, why it's important to make it happen now. If not now, when? If not you, who? We got to do it now.
So you should vote for me because I love our public schools. And that's not just a statement. I have shown that with my work. I have literally dedicated hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours to fighting for our public school. I started on a school level, then I moved to a state level, and I've also advocated on a federal level, and I will continue to fight for you on our school board. If it's not good enough for my kid, it is not good enough for your kids. And that's how I'm going to treat this seat, is I'm fighting for all kids.
Stop right there. You said a mouthful. How many hours of volunteer? Listen, I want everybody who's thinking about running for office, listen to this before you run for office. Say it again.
Roshan, Jeanette?
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands of
volunteer hours.
Yes.
No, the adjective is volunteer hours. This is what she did, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, listening audience, before she decided to run for office. There is a great record of community service. If I could vote for you again, I'll vote for you again. Because this is very, very important that you're already committed before you even get there.
Right.
And let me ask you something. Do you feel the same way I feel about that? That people should be vested before they start running?
Absolutely. How can you serve a community you don't know? Right? And the only way, the best way to learn is to volunteer, to work alongside them, and to fight alongside them.
Yes. And, we just don't need people on the school board who have agendas. Like Moms for Liberty. Mm-hmm. We don't need that. No. We need people who really care about our kids.
And the agenda is education in our children.
And we have to start caring about our local government officials. School board is very important. It's the hand that rocks the cradle.
Come on, Angela.
And we need good people like Damaris on there. So please share this show.
Well, let me tell you something about that too as well. It's very important when you start talking about the economy. It's based on how real estate sell, what kind of schools you got in the district, what make our city great. First thing people look at when they determine they want to come to Florida, how's the school district for my children?
Exactly.
You know, how's education for my children?
It affects your property values.
It affects your property values. All this time, it's one of the most important legislative bodies that we have is our school district, and have a great partnership with the city and the county. Now, let me ask you a question about the superintendent. How you feel about him? How you think he's doing? And do you have a collaborative relationship with him already before you get there?
I do have a collaborative relationship with him now. Fortunately, because of my position with Hillsborough County PTA, I was able to meet with Jeff every month prior to Addison starting. And then I started off when Addison started meeting with him on a regular basis as well. I would say that when he started, I was very, very concerned. He started in a very difficult time, did a lot of changes without understanding the community. And I told him that. One of my first conversations with him was me telling him directly, everyone I know wants you fired. And his response was, what do I need to do to fix this?
Wow.
And I really appreciated that. He listened to me. He listens to my suggestions. We meet. We don't meet now because I don't think it's appropriate while I'm running. But prior to me running, we met on a regular basis, and I shared my concerns. And they weren't just my concerns. They were concerns I was hearing from people in my community. And so he has shown himself to be teachable, which I think is
coachable.
It's imperative in a leader to be adaptive and teachable. And so I do appreciate that. I still have some concerns, but I think with anyone, you're going to have concerns. You're going to be great in one area and have challenges in another area. And it's our job as school board members to come alongside him and to help coach him and to help him understand the needs of our community and how to best meet them.
Hey, before we go any further, how do you get hold of Damaris Allen?
That's right.
813-843-6210. That's my cell phone number. Or you can email me at info@damarisallen.com. It's DAMARISALLEN.com.
Very good.
Now, what about these failing schools? What can we do about F schools?
Lots of things. We can find out the needs of the schools and meet them, right? So if the issue is that we don't have tutoring available, if the issue is that we don't have great early childhood education available to prepare them to go to kindergarten, if the issue is that they are, I think it's important to recognize some of our kids don't have adequate housing. Some of our kids are
facing homelessness.
They are facing homelessness. Some of our kids are living in houses that have molds, have mold, have rats, and this is issues that people are working on. So Silver Oaks is pretty commonly known that's we're having some challenges there, and so we have to work collaboratively with the community to make sure that students' basic needs are met. Are they coming to school hungry? Okay, do we have a food pantry and things like that?
Now, are the charter schools graded the same way?
They are, but they don't have an accountability system. So if a public school is graded as an F for so many years, then they automatically become a charter or get taken over by an outside operator. However, if that same outside operator keeps that school failing, there's no system to hold them accountable. It can just keep failing.
Yeah, that's a system that works. The external operator come take over, but who graded the external operator?
Right. Well, and then the other issue is that charter schools don't have to keep kids, right? As a public school, you're required to keep all students. As a charter school, you can throw a kid out because they're not tucking in their school uniform. You can throw a kid out because they're a behavioral issue or you don't want to provide, or they're failing. In addition to that, some of our charter schools have a contract that parents sign that require them to read with their student for an hour a night, to volunteer so many hours a week. And that's what makes a difference. Reading with your kid every night makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
And so, but we can't do that. We can't require that as a public school. We can ask you to do that with your child.
And recommend that.
And recommend, but we cannot require
and the public school not kicking their children out because they ain't finna throw away $8,000.
Well, and they can't. Legally, they can't kick
Right.
children out.
Even legally, they can't. They can't afford. They're leaving every student there.
Right.
Because remember, during the pandemic, they're going looking for kids. Why are you in school? Why are you in school? Remember that?
Yeah. Well,
Go to
they
bed.
needed to because.
They have been missing in action.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I'm excited about a school board changing with good leadership, people that we can talk to, Angela.
Yes.
And so let's talk about next week, Angela. What's going to be happening next week?
What's going to happen next
We're
week?
going to know who won.
Oh!
So what we're going to do is talk about the winners and
23rd.
losers next
The
week.
23rd is creeping up.
It will be over with because the next week will be the what?
So I just want to tell you, please reelect Karen Perez. We love her.
We love her. And because she need a great colleague with Demetri.
Yes, we don't want to
Damaris
see her
Allen.
leave.
And so let me ask you something while we're talking about who everybody on the school board you have a great relationship with.
Most of them, yes. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, my opponent's not thrilled with
Okay.
me right now.
Oh, well, and you're not thrilled with her after
don't care
after you
what Stacey
found out
Long
about
has to
the sentence.
say.
You're not thrilled with her as well. So
But yes, I've met with all of the school board
That's what I wanted to
members,
say.
including the one that I'm running against. I have a son that has also met with the school board members and the superintendent. And so I bring others along. I think that's really important too.
and I'm gonna ask you the same question as Karen Perez. How important is it going to be for public comment when we come to there to advocate during public comment? How serious you going to take that?
Very seriously. But I also think we need to recognize that public comment happens at a time where working families, where, parents who have little kids at home can't come. So
Right.
I think you need to balance that with what you're hearing out in the public. But I think we need to always take public comment seriously.
That was a great answer because a lot of people that's coming to school board members, Angela, are not parents. They just
They're
coming.
agitators.
That was said they advocating for their own self-interest. I put it like that.
Yeah, I call them agitators.
She call them agitators. But I'm just saying to you, I never thought about what you said. And when you said that, it makes sense. The people that need to be there advocating, doing public comments, can't get there at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Right.
So
Yes.
you made a great point. Anything we can do about that?
Yeah, we could change the time. So initially, teacher comment was earlier, and the teachers union lobbied to change the time of the teacher's comment to a time that the teachers could get there. And so I think we really need to look towards that. A great example is me. I couldn't get to public comment for years because I had to work. And I was volunteering hundreds of thousands of hours, and I couldn't get there.
Well, I'm going to advocate for this. We got 2 minutes? Okay. I'm going to advocate for this, and I'll get the last one to my host. We need to get y'all more money on school board. You can't have the county commission making a hunk of money and school board member who's for our children. That little money they paying school board member don't even have no legislative aid. How you really? That shows how serious y'all are about education. I was talking to a city councilman that was in New Jersey. She said they have 4 legislative aid on city council. 4. They have a chief of staff and 3 other aides.
Wow.
Y'all don't have not one.
Not
Correct.
one.
We have a part-time administrative, or we split administrative assistants.
Okay, so you got a secretary answer for all of them. That's a simple part of it.
all of them?
Yeah, for all of them.
No, you split. There's 2 people split.
Oh, I see. They get.
Yeah.
Which is embarrassing. Angela, the last minute under you.
Please elect Damaris Allen. Please re-elect Karen Perez. Vote for the only star on your ballot, Lynette Starr Brookins for judge. Also, Amaris Ayala for
Attorney General.
Attorney General. And put the box, fill in the box for Val Demings.
I know she was going to say Val Demings. That's her hero. So what we're going to do next week, we're going to talk about winners and losers next week. Let's just kick it next week, Angela. We'll be able to talk about the results of the election and see where we're going and who we got that we're going to be able to work with. And looking forward to November, which is Angela Birdsong, County Commission District 2.
Yeah, that's
Vote for
coming up.
Angela Birdsong. Vote for a real change, a change that you can believe in, and a change that we can work with. All right?
You want to work for me, Jarvis?
Ain't no doubt about it. And I'm publicly endorsing Angela Birdsong right here on the air.
Ooh.
I'm down with Angela Birdsong,
Thank
the
you.
only Birdsong on the ballot. Thank you. And DGCO, thank you so much. In Touch Radio, where
AKA
everybody can be a
Darryl
star.
Johnson has been in the
Johnson.
house.
Yes, he's great. Come over here, y'all candidates, and talk to him and get in the paper and buy some advertising and get this thing going, because
In
this is the
Touch
radio that make it
News.
work.
In touch.
Well, everybody can be a star. Thank you, Damaris. We'll see you on the top.